Have you ever heard a story so strange that even after almost 900 years, no one has been able to explain it? Imagine you're a farmer in medieval England. It's early morning. The fields are silent. The only sounds are birds and the wind moving through the trees. Then suddenly, you hear children crying. You follow the sound toward an old wolf pit just outside the village. But what you find there makes absolutely no sense. Two children, a boy and a girl, completely alone. Their clothes are unlike anything you've ever seen. They don't speak a single word you can understand, and their skin is bright green. This may sound like the beginning of a fantasy novel, but according to two independent medieval chroniclers, this actually happened. The village was called Woolpit, located in Suffolk, England. During the 12th century, it was a quiet farming community known for the deep pits villagers dug to trap wolves. One ordinary day, workers harvesting their fields discovered two frightened children standing near one of those pits. The villagers tried to ask them simple questions. Who are you? Where are your parents? What happened? The children answered immediately, but every word they spoke sounded completely foreign. No one recognized the language, not the farmers, not the priests, not even travelers passing through the village. The children looked terrified. They clung to each other, refusing to let go. Yet the strangest thing wasn't their language. It wasn't even the unusual clothes they were wearing. It was the color of their skin. Every witness described the same thing. A deep green color, not painted, not dirty. Their skin itself appeared green. And that was only the beginning. The villagers decided to take the children into their homes. At first, everyone believed they were simply lost. Perhaps they had wandered from a distant kingdom, or maybe they had survived an attack by bandits. But as the days passed, those explanations became harder to believe. The children refused to eat. Fresh bread was placed before them. They pushed it away. Warm soup. They wouldn't touch it. Roasted meat. Nothing. The villagers tried everything they had. For days, the children grew weaker, yet they still refused every meal offered to them. People began to fear they would die of starvation. Then, by pure chance, someone returned from the fields carrying freshly harvested broad beans. The moment the children saw them, everything changed. They rushed toward the basket. Without hesitation, they tore open the pods and eagerly ate the beans raw. Nothing else. Only broad beans. For weeks this remained almost their entire diet. It was as if they had never seen bread before. As if meat, cheese, and cooked food simply didn't exist where they came from. Slowly, the villagers gained the children's trust. Although they still couldn't understand a single word, it became clear they weren't dangerous. They were simply frightened. The boy, however, became seriously ill. No one knew why. Whether it was the unfamiliar food, the long journey, or some illness he already carried. Despite every attempt to help him, he died not long after arriving in Woolpit. The girl survived. And over the following months, something even stranger began to happen. The green color of her skin slowly started to disappear. Little by little, it faded, until eventually she looked like any other person in the village. Months passed. The girl slowly learned English. At first, she could answer only simple questions. Then, one day, the villagers finally asked the question that had haunted them from the beginning. "Where did you come from?" Her answer left the entire village speechless. She said she and her brother came from a land called St. Martin's Land. It wasn't a kingdom anyone had ever heard of. According to the girl, the sun never truly shined there. The world was covered in a permanent twilight. There was light, but it was dim, as if the sun were forever hidden behind the horizon. Everyone living there had green skin. To her, that was completely normal. She explained that on the day they disappeared, she and her brother had been tending their family's cattle. While following the animals, they discovered the entrance to a large cave. Curious, they walked inside. The deeper they travelled, the darker it became. Then they heard something strange, the sound of church bells, loud, echoing through the tunnels. They followed the sound, hoping to find other people. Instead, a blinding light suddenly appeared ahead. They ran toward it. When they stepped out of the cave, everything had changed. The sky was brighter than anything they had ever seen. The air felt different. The fields stretched endlessly before them, and the people spoke a language they couldn't understand. Terrified, they wandered through the countryside until they reached the fields near Woolpit, where the villagers eventually found them. For the people of medieval England, the story was almost impossible to believe. But what made it even stranger was that the girl never changed her version. As she grew older, her English became fluent. Yet every time she was asked where she came from, she told exactly the same story. As the years passed, the girl adapted to life in England. According to the chronicles, she was baptized, eventually lost the green color of her skin, and grew into adulthood. She even married. To everyone around her, she became an ordinary woman. Except for one thing. She never withdrew the story she had told as a child. Centuries later, historians began asking a different question. Not, was she telling the truth? But, what could have actually happened? One theory suggests the children were refugees from a nearby Flemish community. At the time, many Flemish settlers lived in eastern England, and some had been attacked during violent conflicts. If two orphaned children had escaped into the countryside, they may have spoken Flemish, a language that would have sounded completely foreign to English villagers. Another theory focuses on their green skin. Some doctors believe they may have suffered from a condition known as hyperchromic anemia, caused by severe malnutrition. In extreme cases, it can give the skin a pale greenish tint. Once the girl began eating a normal diet, the color gradually disappeared. That explanation seems reasonable. It even accounts for why the children survived almost entirely on broad beans. They may have recognized the only familiar food they could find. But those theories still leave several questions unanswered. If they were simply lost children, why did they describe a land that no one had ever heard of? Why did both children tell the same story? And why did two separate medieval chroniclers, writing independently of one another, preserve nearly identical accounts? Nearly 900 years have passed, yet no document has ever been discovered that completely explains who the Green Children of Woolpit really were. And that's where the mystery truly begins. Today, if you visit the quiet village of Woolpit, you'll find no trace of the strange children. The wolf pits are gone. The fields are peaceful. Life goes on, just as it has for centuries. But the story never disappeared. It survived because no one has ever been able to prove exactly what happened. Were the children simply frightened refugees? Victims of illness and misunderstanding? Or did two medieval chroniclers preserve one of history's most extraordinary encounters? We'll probably never know. And maybe that's exactly why this story has lasted for almost 900 years. Because every explanation solves one mystery. While creating another. Imagine this for a moment. You're standing alone in a quiet English field. Two children suddenly appear from the edge of the woods. They speak a language you've never heard. They refuse every kind of food except raw beans. Their skin is green. And when they finally learn your language, they calmly tell you they aren't from another village. They're from a place where daylight never truly exists. A place hidden beneath endless twilight. Would you believe them? Or would you spend the rest of your life trying to explain what you had seen? No one alive today can answer that question. Because the Green Children of Woolpit left behind no map, no proof, only a story that has outlived kingdoms, survived nearly 9 centuries, and continues to challenge everyone who hears it. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't where the children came from. It's why, after all this time, no explanation has ever managed to fit every piece of the puzzle. So the next time someone tells you that history is boring, remember this. Sometimes the strangest stories aren't found in fantasy books. They're hidden in the pages of history, waiting for someone to ask, what if it really happened?